Do you want to feel better, have more energy, and be your best and healthiest self? We want the same for you, and that's why your friends at the Total You Show are connecting with top industry experts to deliver the best information to you right where you are. Please welcome your host from the Total You Show.
Hello, and welcome to the Total You Show. This is Season 2, Episode 18. I am Linda Bailey. I am owner of Total You Health and Total Equine Health, and today I'm doing a solo cast talking about being your own health advocate. This is an important subject that not many people think about, but you know, with doctors being so busy and not being able to spend quality time with all of their patients, it's definitely something that we need to think about. I'm going to give you just a personal example of what my family went through and why, I came to realize how important it was to be your own health advocate. So if there's one thing that I learned from all that my family went through when my oldest daughter sustained 3 traumatic brain injuries, and these were all in just a 13-month period, it is to be your own health advocate. And if I'd only done what the doctors told me to do for her, she may have stayed on some heavy-duty medications that had bad side effects, and she would have seen a psychiatrist who more than likely would have put her on more medications. If we had done that instead of continued to search for alternatives that may help her, these were methods, again, that I tend to lean towards the more non-toxic side of remedies. But if we hadn't done that, she may not have experienced the pretty remarkable recovery she had. Now, obviously, we will never know, but she had a pretty remarkable recovery. We're going to talk about that. But as a result of all her injuries, she ended up with the mentality of what I explained to people as a mentality of a 5-year-old. We didn't know if she would recover from her injuries or if this was just going to be the new version of our daughter. So doctors told me that she showed abnormal symptoms of brain injury and she needed a psychiatrist. They didn't live with her, to understand that there was no way in my mind that she was faking her pain, nor any of the other symptoms of brain injury that she was showing. And some of those were hallucinations, light and noise sensitivities, round-the-clock pain, and migraine-like headaches. So I decided from that point I would start researching other alternatives for her. The doctors locally had discharged her from care, and we were left pretty much out in the cold with nowhere else to turn. So I felt like, I had to go ahead and research everything that I could. And it was a pretty scary time. We didn't know what to do next. But thankfully, I found a neuropsychologist. Now, he was out of town, but he saw my daughter and determined that she absolutely was showing signs of brain injury and that she didn't need a psychiatrist. So I'm so glad I trusted my gut at that point and continued to look for alternatives for her. But this doctor not only spent 5 hours with us in the first appointment, but he recommended her see a neurooptometrist who prescribed vision therapy. Also, that doctor prescribed prism glasses that helped her eyes work together better. And while that was going on, I continued to look into other alternatives for her. That neuropsychologist was excellent, but my daughter was still in pain and on medications that I really didn't want her on or really didn't seem to help. So luckily, I found out about low-level laser therapy. And to my surprise, there was a doctor about 2 hours away, and so I made an appointment and we went to see him. So my daughter is 5 foot 4 inches, and her weight had gone down to about 100 pounds. She had lost her sense of taste, and it was very difficult to find things that she would eat. But after just 2 sessions with the light therapy, just like the equipment that we have at Total You Health, my daughter not only told me what she wanted to eat, but where she wanted to get it from, which at that point was Panera. So I went straight there, and I was so happy. Not only was she eating, but we were also able to sit outside. And the reason that was a big deal is because she still had major light sensitivity and wore her sunglasses all the time, even inside. So for her to sit outside in the middle of the summer, in the middle of the day, now it was still with sunglasses, but that was a huge accomplishment. So I immediately called my husband and told him about our success. So we knew that this therapy is something that she would need for perhaps a long time. And the doctor where we found out about this therapy was 2 hours away from our home one way. So I approached him about writing a prescription so we could purchase that equipment ourselves and treat our daughter at home. And it turns out, thankfully, he was willing to do this. So we soon had our equipment. I applied the therapy on my daughter, and we continued to see more success. She was able to be homeschooled. She was not able to return to her high school just because of her light and noise sensitivities, but she also needed to rest during the day. You know, if you think about it, our brains need so much energy and just requires so much of us because it runs pretty much the rest of our body. So especially with someone with a brain injury, they in particular need a lot of energy. So she had to rest so she could continue with her recovery on top of trying to tax her brain with academics. So she did end up graduating on time. She got accepted into her college of choice, which was Virginia Tech. But then we faced some more big challenges. So I knew my daughter was a fighter. I knew she could do anything she set her mind to. But I didn't think she was quite ready to go to college. I had a hard time with that, but her neuropsychologist told me that she really needed to go for social reasons, for healing, and just even more. He said her brain needed to continue to make those connections again that were damaged as a result of these injuries. So he said all these different scenarios, you know, meeting new people there, having new experiences, the challenging academics, those were all important for her brain in order to make those connections again. So I leaned on his expertise. He's been in this business a lot longer than me. So we agreed to send her, and she went. But I will tell you, it was quite a struggle that first year. She did have accommodations, and that was from the Services of Students with Disabilities Department. She was accepted into a challenging program. It's the Human Nutrition, Foods, and Exercise program, which is a pre-med major. And there were multiple times during her freshman year that I thought she might withdraw and actually come home. However, true to her nature, she stuck it out. She made it through that year. Her other years had their own struggles, but, you know, it got easier and easier. And I am pleased to tell you she graduated on time with her degree. And in less than a year later, she applied to physician's assistant school. She got accepted to several, and she picked one in the same town as her neuropsychologist's office. And at the time, or as of right now, my daughter only has one more semester of PA school to get through, and then she'll have, I think, 15 months of different rotations to go through. And after that, she will have completed her PA designation. And I will tell you, as a result of everything that she has been through, she is extremely well suited for this type of job. She absolutely loves it. And honestly, I think she has a really unique perspective that she can empathize with her patients. So we're not sure what area she'll want to focus in, but I know that she has found something she's passionate about, and she'll be very happy in this field. And the reason I told you all this story is just so you'd have an example of why it's so important to be your own advocate. Had I not continued to search for alternatives for her, her outcome might have been totally different. The doctors who discharged her didn't think her symptoms had to do with brain injury. So she may not have been treated for them and may not have had the successful recovery that she did otherwise. So in my podcast notes, up above here, you're going to see a link to a great article, and it talks about the differences between our current conventional model of care in the medical community and how that compares more with a model of continuity of care. The difference is in our conventional model of care, if you go to the hospital, your family doctor is not the one that follows up with your treatment plan. There's hospitalists, there's specialists there that end up deciding what's going on, which is well and good, except they're not the ones that have been treating you for years or have seen you for years and years. Versus continuity of care, that family doctor would be part of the team that helps decide what should be the best plan of action. So in this article, and again, if you look above, those are all the links to the different resources that I'm getting ready to mention. But Dr. Victoria Sweet says, whatever form of health care the future may take, don't put all the responsibility on our doctors. Instead, we should strive to be the primary advocate for our own well-being. So again, the link to that article is above. I strongly urge you to read that. But she suggests, again, taking care of ourselves. We all know we need to, but we need to get enough sleep, we need to eat right, and we need to exercise. And she said, to avoid the doctor if you can. And if you're doing these things, chances are it'll lessen the amount of time you have to spend in a doctor's office. But she suggests doing these things that keep you healthy. But like the article discusses, in our current healthcare structure, doctors don't have the time to spend with you to determine what's wrong. So the best advice I can give you is do what it takes to take care of yourself. Be your own health advocate and trust your instincts, and try to do as much as you can without chemicals, without toxins. In the long run, these just mask a symptom. They don't get to the root cause of your issues. So speaking of brain injuries, and I may end up writing an ebook about this just because of what we went through. That's how Total U Health got started. But I've got up above a list of, or a link to a list of signs and symptoms of traumatic brain injury. You may want to look through those. Sometimes there are things people don't associate with brain injuries that are absolutely signs of them. There's also a link above to some good facts to know about head injuries. I've also included some resources, and these are close by to Roanoke, but that could help those with brain injuries as well as their caretakers. There's support groups and just a lot of different programs that you can take advantage of. If you are outside the Roanoke area, you can look up Brain Injury Association in your state, and that link is above. And you can also try to find local support groups, which I strongly urge you to do. If you or someone you know has a brain injury, please don't hesitate to reach out for help. Brain injury can be a really hard thing to go to, not just on the person who's suffering, but everyone surrounding that person. It can be a very isolating time. So please reach out for help and do what you can to talk to others who are going through or have at least traveled this recovery road before you. That's one of the things I really leaned on a friend whose daughter had just recently had a brain injury as well. And it really helped me a lot to know that I wasn't by myself, that there is a recovery. It's different for every person, and it does take a really long time, but to make sure that you have some help along the way and support. And again, learn all you can about brain injury so you can be your own or a loved one's health advocate. And not just for brain injury, really do the research. Again, the doctors are, they are very knowledgeable, but they only know that little piece. They don't know your history, your background, what you've been through. So make sure you're communicating all these things so that they can, together, you all can make the best decision on yours or your loved one's health. All right. Well, that is the end of this podcast. I appreciate you guys taking time with us and listening to the Total You Show. And we appreciate, as always, you following us. You can look at the links above to like or follow our Facebook page, LinkedIn, Instagram. All of those are above. Don't forget, each month we post our newsletter on our Facebook page so you can keep up with what's going on there. And if you want any more information on how to reach out, check those out. We've got our email, phone number, and all kinds of things. So until next time, stay healthy. Bye.
That's all for this episode of the Total You Show. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, podcast, follow us on social media, and tune in to next week's episode. Helping you achieve the healthiest version of you, that's Total You.